This is part 2 to our Chapter 8 review. Sorry I had to do 2 parts, but I ran out of time before class. So number 18 is where we left off, and we've got just 3 more problems. Make sure you have a graph paper for number 19 though. Number 18, you have a triangle, but you don't see it. So let's just sketch it out. You know that this angle is obtuse. So let's make an obtuse triangle. That's angle X, and it's 156. So let's call that Y and that Z. You know that this lowercase letter represents a side, so that side is across from angle Y. It's 18. This is also a side, Z, so it is across from angle Z over here. And you want to find X, lowercase x, that's this little side over there, to the nearest tenth. Can we use the law of sines? No, because we only have one angle. So we're going to use law of cosines. And 156 and X go together. So let's write this out. X squared equals 18 squared plus 21 squared minus 2 times 18 times 21 times the cosine of 156. Let's simplify all of our squareds. 324, 441, and 756. Okay, let's combine our first two. We can add those and get 765. And go ahead in your calculator, enter that whole thing in. So you'll get X squared is about 1455.6. Now that's not your answer, and hopefully you see that that does not make sense given our other sides are only 18 and 21. We have a squared right there that we need to get rid of, so we need to square root this answer. And we are going to round to the nearest tenth. So X is about 38.2. Alright, that tells you how long that side is. Okay, number 19. Find the magnitude and the direction. For the magnitude, remember that means length. So I don't have to graph it yet. I do need to graph it for the direction to figure out which way it's pointing and all of that. So let's go ahead and find the magnitude first, and that is just the distance formula. So we got -5 plus 2 squared plus -6 minus 4 squared. Let's simplify that. It becomes the square root of -3 squared, which is 9, plus -10 squared, which is 100. So the square root of 109. Since we're talking about length of a vector, we do want to evaluate that to the nearest tenth. So that is about 10.4 units. Okay, that's how long our vector is. Okay, to find the direction, let's go ahead and put this on a graph. I'm going to switch papers here for 1 second. And so you can see my graph. We have got, and P is to be negative, by the way. Alright, here's my little graph. P is -2, 4. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's P. And Q is -5, -6. Here's Q. Now, I need to know which way my arrow is pointing. Is it pointing down or is it pointing up? And the answer is my vector on my paper, it says PQ, and the arrow is pointing towards Q. So I'm going to draw my arrow starting at P, that's the initial point, going down to Q. So go ahead and use a ruler. Or something straight. And here's my vector. I have already found that it is 10.4 units long. So to find the direction, remember that is where we talk about this initial point. Here's my vertical or my horizontal line, my horizon, and I want to talk about this angle right here. That's the direction. Well, I don't know that angle other than it's bigger than 180. But I do see that there is a triangle here. And I know that if I have a vector that is straight down, this right here is 270 degrees. Okay? So I can take my 270 and subtract this little angle that I have right there. To find that angle, I need to use trigonometry. I do know the length of this by counting. This is 10 boxes, and this short side over here is 3 boxes. So I can use what trigonometric function? We have an adjacent and an opposite. I'm going to use the tangent. The tangent of P equals 3/10. So to solve for this angle P, I need to do the inverse tan of 3/10. And I want to round to the nearest degree. So I will get about 17 degrees. So to find this big angle here, I know this is 180, so it's going to be bigger than 180. All the way over to here is 270, so I need to subtract this little piece. So my angle P, or not angle P, my direction is simply going to be 270 minus 17. Which is 253 degrees. Now the direction is important because it tells me that it is pointing down, which it is. Because if I drew this the other way pointing up, I would be finding this angle down here, and that's a different angle. It's a lot smaller. Alright, back to our review sheet. The direction was 253 degrees. Okay, number 20. Copy the vectors to show vector D minus vector F. So if I draw vector D down here, it looks about like that. And I'm going to label it. And it says minus, so that means instead of pointing down, it's going to go the opposite way. So remember, when you're doing vector addition or subtraction, you go from the arrow or the ending point, the terminal point of the first vector, and you're going to go up this time about the length of F. Okay? Where the starting or initial point of our first vector is to the terminal point of our second vector, we are going to connect those, make a triangle. That red vector represents D minus F. That is my solution right here. I'll darken it up so you can see it. Okay. If you have any questions, today is the day you should be emailing me because tomorrow is your test. Make sure you have a graphing calculator with you tomorrow, and make sure that you have one side of an index card, a 3x5 index card, no bigger, ready to go for the test. I will provide you with graph paper, and I will provide you with your formula chart. Have a beautiful day today.